Welcome to Our Life in Transition. Listener discretion is advised. This podcast deals with issues about LGBT families and trans-specific topics. We would love to hear from you and welcome your questions and comments. However, we will not tolerate any discriminatory language or hate speech, so please, just don't do it. Enjoy the show. And there's part of me that feels that because there was a lot of hurt that happened. There's a lot of people that had their rights stripped away. There are a lot of people who have suffered. There are a lot of people who are dead. And the fact that that wasn't a deal breaker and that they couldn't see that and be as appalled as it objectively is heartbreaking, and it makes you mad.
When we were kids, we met at camp.
After college, we got married.
10 years later, we finally had a baby.
That same year, I came out as trans.
This is the story of our journey.
Through marriage,
Parenting,
gender,
and all the changes that life brings.
this is Our Life in Transition. Have you had popcorn yet this season? Is this the return of popcorn for the first time?
Maybe.
Crunch, crunch, crunch. Let's go back and listen to the episodes. Well, no, I think we had some in the spring.
It was like a lifetime ago.
Yes, it was. Forever.
Well, these people have to deal with my crunching today because I was hungry and nauseous. So popcorn is a thing.
Do you usually solve being nauseous by eating more?
When your nausea is because you didn't have enough to eat, yes.
Fair enough. Okay. Speaking of curing nausea, hello everyone.
Hello.
My name is Shannon.
And I'm Rachel.
And welcome to another delightful episode of
Our Life in Transition.
Good job.
Why does our podcast cure nausea?
Because we're talking about firing Cinnamon Hitler. And we're curing our previous 4 years of nausea, and it's going to be delightful.
I don't know if it's going to be delightful. It's certainly going to be, not
It's a
nauseating.
relief. So, I mean, that's... Anyway.
Are you considering our election like Pepto?
Maybe?
Mm.
Or maybe like Alka-Seltzer? Alka-Seltzer? Alka-Seltzer?
You still didn't get it right. Try again.
Alka-Seltzer? I don't know. Is this a word I'd never actually say?
Alka-Seltzer?
I said it. I said it the second time.
No, you didn't.
I said
No, you said Saltzer.
Did I?
Yes.
I was going to try to make a joke about Plop Plop Fizz Fizz and it didn't work.
Oh.
I'm a failure. All right, well.
All right, so
Button
welcome
up-
to an exciting episode of Rachel.
Yeah, I was button with the podcast. I'm done. I'm sorry. This is coffee break now. Goodbye.
That's right. See ya.
Anyway, so you've got your popcorn. I've got tea today.
I have my ever-present Coca-Cola.
I'd have coffee, but we're out of half and half and milk. And
Somebody has to go to the store.
yes, somebody. We'll play rock, scissors, papers for that later.
Rock, scissors, papers?
Rock, papers.
What is wrong?
I don't know. We joked about me leaving, yet you let me stay. I don't know. This is starting off wonderfully. I'm so overcome with emotions over what happened yesterday that I can't think straight. Wow. My mouth doesn't work right today. Rachel, you just take over, okay? I'm just
gonna eat my popcorn. This is just gonna be a half-hour-long episode of me crunching. Some kind of weird ASMR thing. Of just me crunching popcorn.
Listen, I'm sure somebody's into that. We should start an OnlyFans. I love how like
You're gonna make money that way.
you turn. Wow, I love how you just turned to me, gave me like a look of utter revulsion, and then like within like a hair's breadth went like come to think of it, maybe. Like, all right, yeah.
I'm all about making the money.
Yeah. Okay. Pimp me out. You're like, yeah. You're like, pimp me out. You want to do an OnlyFans? Yeah. Bring me some money, bitch. Anyway.
You don't have to do an OnlyFans, but you do have to bring me some money, bitch.
Yeah. Anyway. Enough about me.
So, Joe Biden won.
Yep.
The Cheeto has not conceded. Shocker.
What? I thought he would be all humble and statesmanlike.
No, he's acting like a 3-year-old who didn't get what they wanted in Toys R Us.
Oh. Which is even worse, because, like, find me a Toys R Us.
Any store. It's like a 3-year-old who didn't get what they wanted at Walmart, or the supermarket, or anywhere.
Yeah, and it's... Anybody,
just like a 3-year-old.
Anybody who is shocked by his reaction is a fucking idiot. Because, I mean, he's been telegraphing this for months and months and months. And it's interesting in that, like, he is doing exactly what we expected. And a lot of people said similar things where, like, it seemed like a scary thing going in. And then once Joe Biden was announced as having passed the threshold to win the presidency, his reactions just became comically irrelevant.
Well, I mean, I'm a little relieved, actually, because he's a very unstable person.
Yes.
And so I wasn't sure that there wouldn't be tanks rolling down the street today, to be very honest with you.
Well, he's got a couple of months. Give him time.
I mean, so, like, his, like, let's hold a press conference behind a landscaping place in Philadelphia. I mean...
Well, and this is the thing. Like,
next to an adult bookstore. I mean, across the street. Not irrelevant. Across the street from the crematory.
Yeah, well, I mean, and this is the thing. Like, as disorganized and chaotic as his White House and the executive branch has been run. I can't even say run.
Yeah.
Operated, such as it is, for the past 4 years. It's not surprising that his campaign and then the campaign's response to losing has been just as chaotic. I mean, I saw that like late last night that his president, because we were all watching, the coverage of Joe Biden winning, and nobody was paying attention or caring really about what he was doing. And his Rudy Giuliani and his other cronies had a press conference, but someone in the campaign messed up, and tried to book the Four Seasons, but they wound up booking the Four Seasons like landscaping. It was just they're in a parking lot in some random business in Philly, trying to have a press conference. It was so
fitting.
Like,
it was so fitting.
Yeah, it's so fitting. It's like Veep, but like
you stole that from somebody else on Twitter.
But it's true. It's true. And then one writer on SNL was like, "Yeah, if in 800 years, I could never write something this funny." It's just so.
So I wonder if it was chaos or if it was a staffer who's had enough.
I mean, I wouldn't put it past him. I was listening to another podcast this morning, which I will not name because you have to listen to our podcast. But Maggie Haberman was saying, the reporter, she was saying that people within the administration that she has contacts with have been texting her, and they're just like so relieved themselves. They're like, "Oh, thank God, we couldn't put up with this for another 4 years."
It's ridiculous. It's a hostage situation, guys. But he's unarmed. Just walk away.
Well, I have a feeling these are probably Pentagon people. But or other, staffers in some other departments. But yeah, it's.
So I mean, Shannon cried.
I did. If you go on my social media,
like a giant baby,
there is an ugly fucking photo of me. But
it was even uglier in person.
Damn. All right.
Well, you did. You ugly cried.
Yeah, it was. Woo. But yeah, I said this to you. I hadn't realized just how much tension I was holding in. I mean, I knew that I was, but like I've been physically like ill like the past week or so, like, and
it's all an excuse so she didn't have to do anything around the house.
Yeah, it's it. Except I was doing stuff. But I didn't realize like to the extent that it was just my anxiety over this, and just holding that in for 4 years was exhausting. And then just finally like it happened, and it was just like I could breathe. And I think that's a common sentiment.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of people in many intersecting communities that are like, we're really holding their breath wondering, what rights they would have in the morning.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of people, had that kind of and not even realizing how stressed out they really were until they could, finally release that tension.
It's like, every once in a while you run across like one of those memes or videos or something online, and it's like, hey, relax your shoulders, unclench your jaw, take a couple deep breaths. But like to the nth degree, it was such a weird release of just pent up energy that I didn't know and couldn't describe or comprehend, even though it was happening to me. That when I finally, I just burst out, and I cried for like, I don't know, a good half hour. Like
it was annoyingly long.
Well, it was annoyingly long because I was trying to get ready, and you're like, "Will you get done fucking doing your makeup, bitch?"
Fucking around, yeah.
yeah. Come on. But I don't know. What are your thoughts on it? How do you feel? Because I keep talking about how I feel, and I haven't really heard much
That's
from you.
basically what you do.
Wow. Jesus Christ.
Look, I'm relieved. I'm glad Orange Cheeto is going away. I'm disappointed.
Oh.
I'm disappointed because, like, the giant blue wave that was going to repudiate all of, like, the hatred and nonsense that we've had for 4 years, like, didn't happen.
Well, yeah.
Like, I mean, they squeaked by. We got a win. The House is blue. The Senate's not yet. And won't be. I mean, we might get a tie out of it.
Well,
but I mean, I really had hoped that people voted against Trump, but they didn't vote against the Republican platform of just horrors that has let Trump be Trump.
Yeah.
For the last 4 years. And that I don't really understand. Like, that upset me.
Well, and, it's one of those things like, on one level, Biden got the most votes of any presidential candidate in the history of the United States. Unfortunately, Donald Trump got the second highest number of votes of any candidate in American history. So there's a level to which a lot of us who were like praying and hoping, okay, that he would get his comeuppance. I think there was, because he's just, everything he's done has been so egregious that it just doesn't make any sort of cognitive like sense that people would see that and not go, that's utterly disgusting. We can't have that. Half the country still thinks the same way that they did 4 years ago.
And they voted against the man, but not the platform.
Yeah, and that's the thing. There were, if you look at the numbers, a fair amount of people who were voting against him as an irritating personality and not the platform or particularly what he stood for, but just, oh God, that guy's a pain in the ass. Let's get rid of him. But then they went and voted for Republicans down ballot. And it's just, on the one hand, like, I had my fingers crossed. I had hoped. But
I really hope
I'm not surprised.
I had really hoped that Mitch McConnell and Lindsey Graham especially would get their comeuppance.
Yeah. And, I think part of the problem, too, is that because they're so grating that a lot of focus went to trying to fight the campaigns against them, that there's probably resources that could have been better used elsewhere in other campaigns that went towards, Jamie Harrison or Amy McGrath trying to defeat those two idiots. And it's... So, I want them gone. I can't stand them. They're both jerks, but...
It's not just that they're jerks, though. They're the people who are guiding the Senate and are going to be the obstructionists for the next 4 years, or at least the next 2 years.
Well, yeah. I mean, they're completely hypocritical and disingenuous in every way, shape, or form.
And Lindsey Graham is already, talking about voter fraud and, towing Trump's line. I don't know what the hell Trump has on him, but at this point, just get it out, dude.
Yeah, but it is. You're right. That is disappointing, and it's going to make things a lot more difficult.
And down in Georgia, where we're going to have 2 runoffs now, Kelly Loeffler, basically was accused of, and they didn't do anything because of her being in the Senate, but she was insider trading. She, along with a couple of other people, and it's a known thing, but nobody investigated it because nobody had the will in the Senate to do it.
Well, yeah.
And Perdue got absolutely shellacked in his debate with John Ossoff, to the point that he refused to debate him again. And still, people aren't sure. What shall we do? Really, guys?
Well, the frustrating part is, if you eliminate, all kids and people who are ineligible to vote, and you subtract the people who did vote, there's still a substantial number of people in this country who are of eligible age, have no reason not to register, have no reason not to vote, who could, and they just didn't. And to a separate extent, there are a lot of people who fall prey to the expertly established voter suppression efforts that have been put in place for decades to keep people from voting. And, there's no reason in Georgia why that should have happened, to be perfectly honest. There's not. But unfortunately, they've done such a great job purging voter rolls, maneuvering to keep people from registering and being able to go vote, that it, and that happens all across the country, that even the people that might be inclined to go vote might, fall into that, group of people who didn't vote but might want to, have difficulty actually doing it. And that, I think, more than anything else, is what needs to be addressed, so that these kind of repugnant people don't just keep getting put in again and again and again and again.
I think a lot of people were disappointed in what we really hoped would be a repudiation of just the absolute inhumanity.
Yes.
Of the last 4 years.
Yeah.
And we didn't see that, and that's disheartening. It just we're Americans are not as good of a people as I thought they were.
Well,
and I'm not going to blame it all on voter suppression. There are people who willfully refuse to vote because they said 2 bad choices isn't.
Yeah, well, and
you can't make me choose the lesser of 2 evils. And ideally, yes. But when one of the people is a fascist and the other one isn't, is it really the lesser of 2 evils?
Well, and the messaging that knows exactly where it comes from. Some of it comes from sources on the right. Some of it, I don't fucking know. That, it's the same thing that happened in 2016. That they tried to equate whoever is running for the Democratic ticket and make them out to be just as horrible. It's just like, no, they're not. Yeah. Did Hillary Clinton make bad decisions? Yes. Did Hillary Clinton say dumb shit? Yes. Did the same thing with Joe Biden? Yeah. They're not perfect people. There are no perfect people. Barack Obama, as wonderful as he is, not a perfect person.
You shut your mouth.
I will not. Like, I love Barack Obama to death, but he's not a perfect person, and he knows it. And
that's what makes him a perfect person.
Yeah. But there is an apathy that a lot of people have, and there's also our American sensibilities of, I'm independent, I have free will, you can't tell me what to do, which is useful and great sometimes, but when it comes to collectively having a society, doesn't always fucking work. Just you have free will to do what you want, but doing what you want, or just doing something because you can, and you don't want to be told what to do, it is childish.
Here's my thing. In spite of the Cheeto, think of all the benefits that you have living in America that maybe other countries don't have. I'm not going to fill them in. You think of them. Isn't going and casting a ballot like the absolute least thing you can do to repay repay for the experience of living in America versus somewhere else? Like, isn't that like the absolute least that America can ask of you is to participate in your own democracy?
Yes. Unfortunately, what we inculcate to people these days is not, ask not what your country can do for you, what you can do for your country kind of sentiment. It's everybody,
me first.
Me first, everybody for themselves. I'm going to get mine, fuck you. And, we're not all, 80s action heroes. It's, we're not mavericks all on our own. Nobody got anywhere by themselves, despite what, American mythology will tell you. That's not how it works. So yeah, I mean, it was disappointing, but I'm also like,
overall, I'm relieved that,
yes,
we got change at the top.
And lots of people are relieved.
Yeah.
The one thing I said to you yesterday was
people were dancing in the streets.
Yeah, all summer we've been marching in the streets. Now people were out dancing in the same places, and it was delightful.
We're still in a pandemic, people.
Yes, I know.
Put your masks on.
People were wearing masks, though.
Some.
Most of the people that I saw, in the shots that I was seeing, people were wearing masks, which is good. But and not just here, people all over the world are
which
like,
is disgusting, guys. Everybody was so afraid of us that they're like, oh, thank God. Yeah. Trump is going to be gone. They're that, London was celebrating with fireworks. Paris was ringing bells. Germany, they were ringing bell. I mean, Canada's Justin Trudeau, who is just delightful.
He's pretty. You can say it.
He's pretty and he has a nice butt. But he was like, I can't wait to work with you guys because we've always been neighbors and let's be neighbors and friends again. And and also, please don't send Donald Trump here. Yeah. The world was holding its breath as much as people in this country were. And that's just disgusting that had to be.
Yeah. And but I mean,
and people in India were celebrating because of Kamala.
Yeah. I mean, there are a lot of bright spots, and Kamala Harris is one of those. And I know there's people on the left who are like, oh, well, she was a prosecutor and she did the job that prosecutors do. Yeah, grow up. But
I mean, I think that's fair for people to be a little concerned about it, but a lot of people come to politics from different backgrounds, and that doesn't. And I think the big problem that we have in this country is that people don't believe that people evolve.
Yeah, you're supposed to be perfect from birth, and that's not how it works.
Right.
And you know what? Both her and Joe Biden pretty much all the criticisms that people have laid against them, they've like responded to and said, I understand what you're saying. You're right. I was wrong.
Right.
I was wrong.
I've learned.
I've learned. I've changed my position on that. I have evolved. I mean, people forget that, like, when Barack Obama got into the White House, he was not advocating for marriage equality, and he evolved. And people expect politicians to be, you know, their saviors. They're not Jesus. They're people. But
the evangelicals.
I don't know what the fuck they are thinking anymore. But Kamala Harris, there are little girls all over this country. There are little brown girls all over this country that are looking up and seeing what their possibilities are. And I think, you know, I think a lot of people our age might kind of, you know, have a sense of, oh, well, yeah, sure. I mean, we have Barack Obama, so this makes sense. But, you know, I saw some interviews yesterday, and there were, like, you know, some young people who were like, I thought that might have just been a one-off. Like, you know, we got one, and okay, and that was it. That was all we were ever going to get ever again. And you know what? If you know, dipshit had won, maybe that would have been the case. But that, it means so much to people. It means so much to people to look up and see a woman sitting there in that position, to see a black woman, to see an Indian woman in that position, and ready, God forbid anything happens to Joe Biden. And, you know, once Joe Biden is done and goes, okay, I'm you know, 1 term, 2 term, however long he's there, I'm out now. You know, she's ready to be president, and I believe one day she will be president. She has that. I think the one word that came across yesterday that I heard was gravitas. She has the weight of, like, oh, this person can do the job, and that seeing that means something. And there are so many kids that are, you know, what they're going to know of the world is not just like, oh, you know, people who look like Joe Biden are the only people that can be president. Like,
but it's not just about the kids, because for there to be a woman there, after so long, and after the Hillary campaign where there was such horrible misogyny, and I mean, there were other problems with Hillary, like, but a lot of that was just horrible misogyny. When people were talking about her temperament. Yeah. Like, for women, and I don't care if you're 5 or 105, I think a lot of women never expected to have a seat at the table like they have now. Like they will have now.
After 2016, I really was like, maybe not. I thought it was going to happen, and that would have been a great thing, you know, first black president, first woman president. But I really, like, it took me back a little bit. I was just like, God damn. Like, I know there's a lot of misogyny, and I've seen it up close, from both sides. But it's still, there was a part of me that just didn't believe it was that baked in. It took me back. But yeah, she's the vice president. She's not the president.
It's another step.
It's
closer.
It's another step. And, you know, if this were a different election and there were 2 run-of-the-mill people running, and it wasn't, you know, this lunatic that we've got in the White House, that would be the top story. That would be what everybody's talking about, and that's all we would be talking about, is that the first woman, the first person of color to be a vice president just got elected.
Daughter of immigrants.
Yeah. I got Hamilton playing in my head now. But yeah, that would be the top story. And even with all of the other noise surrounding it, it's still a monumental thing.
Thanks again for listening to the show.
If you like what you hear so far, subscribe so you never miss an episode. Also, be sure to share with your friends and family so they can enjoy as well.
This podcast is made possible by listeners like you. Thank you for your support. Of course, it remains to be seen what the other side does, because we are already seeing that they are not going to go away.
No.
They're not going to get over it and be graceful in defeat like they wanted Hillary supporters to be 4 years ago.
Well, and there's people who are just like, oh, well, okay, it's over now, guys. That voted for Donald Trump, and they don't comprehend what they've done and what they were supporting, which is just dumbfounding. But and they just expect like everything to be hunky dory. There were a lot of regular
people that were taken in by him.
Yeah. And there's, I am very quick to be, my impulse is to be petty sometimes.
It's true.
But, I'm trying to take a more level-headed approach to dealing with it. There's some people who are just like, no, you're not giving up on this. You're all in, and I can't deal with you. Go in your corner over there with the nutcase. You belong together. There's other people who they just, for whatever blinding privilege they have, don't get it. That I personally feel can and will hopefully be drug along by progress. And if they're willing to just accept, well, things go one way, things go the other way. Okay, fine.
Right.
But
I think that there's a lot of I think there's more people like that than we sometimes give credit for, because, we see the screaming, foaming at the mouth, gun-toting lunatics that are standing outside of the ballot counting facilities, right? And it's very easy to be like, oh my God, all these people are not kidding. But there's a lot of people that have just said, we lost.
Yeah.
And that's the end of it. And that's how it goes every 4 years. Sometimes we win, sometimes we don't win. And that are not quite as insane.
Right.
They're regular people with whom I vehemently disagree. Mm-hmm. But they're also willing to be Americans first. Yeah. And be more concerned with our democracy and its survival than, whether their guy won.
There's people that were following him who are literal Nazis. And there's other people who didn't comprehend, or for whom their being Nazis was not a deal breaker for them. And the people that didn't quite get it we need to be able to explain it to them and get them on board with understanding why that was really fucked up. And I understand everybody who is feeling petty and feeling vengeful and wanting to just go, no, fuck you. Fuck all of you. You can all go to hell. And there's part of me that feels that, because there was a lot of hurt that happened. There's a lot of people that had their rights stripped away. There are a lot of people who have suffered. There are a lot of people who are dead. And the fact that that wasn't a deal breaker, and that they couldn't see that and be as appalled as it objectively is heartbreaking, and it makes you mad. But unfortunately, we live in a society, and sometimes you gotta work with the people that you don't want to. And hopefully we can figure that out. But, there's still the crazies that are just in utter denial, and I don't know what they're going to do.
Well, hopefully they're just gonna, Trump is gonna have to go slink off somewhere, because he doesn't have court battles to sustain him. Then hopefully he won't have the platform to sustain his supporters, or something terrible is going to happen. One of these people is going to go apeshit, right? And everybody's going to turn around and be like, see, we told you.
Yeah.
And then everybody else is going to go, oh, shit. Now we look like the bad guys. And then they'll slink away.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's going to erupt into a civil war.
No, it's... There are enough people that are committed to normalcy.
Exactly.
That they will look at that and you know, there's people that will just be like, oh, how terrible. But most people will just will see it for what it is. But I think that they'll
go over and scream in their right-wing echo chambers.
Yeah. I think what needs to happen is that you just need to keep everybody who sees the atrocities for what they are, need to just keep reinforcing that this is not okay.
And I think the people in power, too, I think the senators and stuff like that, that have been established Washington politicians for years, who kind of lost their credibility because they jumped onto this Trump train and let him carry them along. I think if they're still there and he's gone, they'll self-regulate.
Yeah, totally.
Because they'll have to.
Yeah. Well, and you know what?
Because I think a lot of it was cowardice.
Well, and that's the thing, like, why, you know, Lindsey Graham and Mitch McConnell are so frustrating in that they didn't believe most of the shit that was coming out of his mouth, but they were like, oh, he's a useful idiot. Mm-hmm. And we're fine with having him assist them in, you know, getting people in the courts and
I think
pushing
Mitch
their
McConnell
agenda.
is the real insidious person here.
Oh, yeah, Mitch McConnell's a piece of shit. Lindsey Graham is a two-faced asshole, and it's really pathetic that the only thing that was keeping him being a sensible individual was John McCain. And as soon as John McCain died, he just said, "Oh well, I need to go latch myself onto somebody else." It's gross. But you know, but the thing with Trump is Trump's saying that he won by a lot. He's in like utter fucking denial. He's
delusional.
It's actually sad. Like that's the thing. I'm like, oh, dude, like.
Well, that's the thing. It's not scary anymore. It's just pathetic.
Yeah, it's pathetic. It's, and I think the systems that we have in place, and that's what I'm hard about. The systems still work. Mm-hmm. I think that there are parts of the system that need to be overhauled. Yeah. We need to get rid of the Electoral College. But the institutions are holding. And you know, just the one thing that I was watching Morning Joe and it was talking about, you know, on Tuesday night. The Secret Service was like, well, we see what's happening. And they added an extra detail onto Joe Biden. You know, he had his detail because he was a former vice president.
And they closed the airspace around his house.
Yeah, he had a detail because he was the Democratic nominee. And then on Tuesday night, they gave him an extra detail, which they do when somebody is the president-elect. So they were like, yeah, it's going to be him, so let's, you know. So I think, you know, Trump can scream and fight. The system is going to, whether he's going to participate and have a useful, helpful transition or not, which I don't know how helpful a transition from his administration could be in the best of circumstances. But he can fight as much as he wants. If needs be, in January, the Secret Service will drag him the fuck out of the White House. And I hope that they get to. They've earned it. They've had to deal with him for a long time. And, you know, there is a part of our, there's a segment of our population that is just going to be in, you know, utter denial and fight and scream and
they'll be contrarians for the next 4 years.
Yeah. But you know what? They just need to be sequestered over in their corner and, you know, everybody can stand and look at them, through a little glass window while
Let
they
them scream it out.
You know, but
like you do with toddlers having tantrums.
yeah, but you know, go sit over there. You know, we're over here trying to adult, and you know, meanwhile there's a lot of work to get done.
There's a lot of undoing that needs to get done to undo the damage that Trump has done. But hopefully not to go back to where we were. Hopefully, you know, they keep saying to build back better.
Yeah.
Like, so hopefully we're going to use the opportunity not to go back to status quo, but to move forward. And I don't, you know, I hope, I don't know how progressive things are going to end up being, especially having to work with the Senate.
Well, yeah, I mean, and it's an uphill battle. I mean, there's an extent to which unilaterally Joe Biden will be able to do quite a bit. It's just a matter of like making sure that, you know, some shit gets codified into law so that it's not just executive orders that can be undone by the next president,
right?
Like what just happened. But I mean, the platform that the party put forward this year, the platform that he ran on, the proposals he put in forward, a lot of them are very, very progressive. I mean, he's still what we, you know, a moderate, you know, and
He's not an AOC.
No, and you know, in any other country, AOC is a moderate, but you know, there's incremental steps that we were taking. It's painfully slow. It's frustrating, but you know, there's like, you know, decriminalizing marijuana, doing a lot of, you know, getting rid of private prisons.
Thank you, New Jersey.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
New Jersey legalized marijuana.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah. That's well, and you know what? Here's the thing. I have said many times, I'm like, I do not partake. And I don't partake because I don't know where it's coming from and I don't know who's getting hurt to bring it to me.
I will.
After these past 4 years, once we have access to it here, I can't smoke because I've got asthma, but edibles I hear are nice. But
she likes brownies.
I do like brownies. Oh God. But you know, so there's a level to which like he's not going to be as progressive as, you know, an Elizabeth Warren or Bernie Sanders.
But here's what I hope. Mm-hmm. I hope that, because this is my problem that I always have with Democrats when they're negotiating. Mm-hmm. Democrats start from the middle, and keep going right.
Yeah,
like you need to start from the left.
Yeah,
so that while you're negotiating, you can actually get to the middle. And like, so I hope that when he's negotiating stuff, because like I know like shit is not gonna end up being, you know, we're not headed straight to socialism, and anybody who thinks we are doesn't understand how government works, and especially how our government doesn't work. Like there's no world in which, you know, Mitch McConnell exists and we end up socialist. So like I'm not counting on any of that stuff, but if they start really far left, then they start to seem reasonable once they get to you know?
Well, and you know what, in the future I think that with a lot of work we can get there. And I am heartened by the fact, you know, just talking about going back to what we were talking about with, you know, the turnout for a second. The youth turnout was fantastic. So the turnout of people under 29 was amazing. Thank you, TikTok. And I think that as we go forward and some of the, you know, more stodgy, dyed-in-the-wool, afraid of the Red Scare, you know, boomers retire or die off, that more progressive people will come in to fill the void and we'll get to a better place.
But it's not going to happen in the next 4 years under Joe Biden. We're not going to get there. But my hope is that, like, the good thing is that Biden and Harris both have great working relationships.
Yes.
Which is something that Trump didn't have, which is why...
And to be fair,
he didn't get any legislation through. He really only got executive orders done because he had no working relationship and nobody in his staff that had a decent working relationship, really, on the Hill.
And to be perfectly honest, I mean, Obama had some of that problem too, because Obama
had Biden, though.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, as I was about to say, like, he personally, Obama's a little like me. He's you know, he tries to be very calm and collected all the time, but you know, there's a part of him that's just kind of like, fuck that guy, you know. And you know, when
really?
somebody, yeah.
How do we know this?
He speaks his mind sometimes in more relaxed points, especially when he's after he left office. But you know, it's so he has, and people in the administration have said, like, he, you know, he doesn't like the game of politics, and you know, the Senate, especially Mitch McConnell, is just like, he lives to fucking like win. That's all he wants to do. And you know, he will come in and just say out loud, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna fucking like make your life a living hell. Like, yeah. I'm gonna make sure you lose. That's my job. Which is not the job. That's self-serving.
Which I wonder how why his constituents like keep voting him in.
All right, well, it's Kentucky. But I don't know. It's a whole other fucking world over there. But so I mean, there's a lot of undoing of the past 4 years that needs to be done. Some of it's going to have to be executive orders. Some of it's going to have to be Joe Biden, who, you know, fortunately Obama did have, to send up to the Hill. And like, everybody likes Joe Biden. Everybody in Washington, like, they like him. And you know, that's one of the things, like, which annoy me with people trying to paint him as like some sort of like, oh, he's a horrible choice and he's like a villain. No, he's not. He's a decent guy. And he has working relationships with a lot of people. There's nobody in Washington that, like, if he called, would not pick up the phone and talk to him. And I think that because he has those relationships, it'll help build some bridges to get shit done. And, you know, we got a lot of work to do immediately. Like, we got to get this pandemic under control, first and foremost. I mean, before we can get anything else done.
And that includes another stimulus that...
Yeah.
Because people are losing their houses now.
Yeah, I mean, you want to fix the economy. Keeping the economy running and getting the pandemic under control are not mutually exclusive things.
This is true.
You can walk and chew gum at the same time. But you have to be smart about it. And just
Trump can't.
This... ideological absolutism of people on the right of, you know, oh, you can't give people money, you can't tell businesses what they can or can't, like, yeah, people need help, you need to help them. People need to be safe, you need to tell businesses you have to be safe. I'm sorry, you're going to have to make some sacrifices. Let's figure out how to work to keep you running. And that's kind of the
But doing
problem.
Nothing for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
Trump was an equal opportunity do nothing.
Yeah, exactly. And just, oh, it'll work itself out. No, it doesn't fucking, like, it's not magic.
But I will, like, just a commercial here, guys. COVID wasn't a hoax. It didn't go away.
Yeah, no.
Like, the most people in, like, the last, like, in the last week, like, the most people in America we've set records for the most people that are tested positive.
Yeah, pretty much day after day this past week, like, we've had the most.
And the election's over.
Well, they shouldn't have kept up on testing. Oh. If you keep on tabulating things, if you test people, if you count ballots, then shit keeps adding up. Math is not fair or kind. It's really annoying. You know, but so I mean, there's a lot of work to get done on those fronts. We got to work, you know, fix the pandemic situation and the economy. But then, you know, there's a lot that has, like, a lot of people have been hurt. We've been hurt. You know, there's still children in cages. There's kids who have been ripped from their parents who will probably never see them again. There are people that are still banned from coming into this country. I mean, the way that our, you know, immigration policies work, Kamala Harris would not be alive. Like, her parents wouldn't have been able to get into this country.
She'd be alive.
Well, her parents probably would have never met. But, so there's a lot of hurt and just foolish, nonsensical, bigoted policies that need to be undone.
And trying to erase the word transgender. Yeah.
Again, another thing, if you just pretend that it doesn't exist, it's not how it works. Trump's entire way of dealing with problems is like a 2-year-old, like
plugging up their ears and going la la la.
Yeah, plugging up their ears, or like if I put my hands over my eyes, I can't see you, you can't see me. It's like no, I still see you. Like it's pandemics and immigrants and LGBT and brown people, aren't like a T-Rex. If you like don't move, like they don't see you hurting them. It's like, hi, we're still here. It doesn't go away. And, they've done a lot to try to undermine LGBT rights and rights for every minority conceivable, except for Norwegians. And some people are like, oh, it's going to take a decade. I don't think it's going to take that long.
There's some stuff that can be undone immediately.
And I would not personally, I'm going to call this, I think that part of what Biden's going to do is just call people back. There's going to be some people that like quit, some people who walked away, positions that have been removed, that, instead of going, okay, well, we need to make a new position, find new people, train people. I think there's going to be a large amount of people that like, he's just going to call back from, the bureaucratic level people that worked under the Obama administration. They're just going to get recalled and like, come back.
Because they know their job already.
They know their job already. You don't have to train them. Like, they might need to figure out what the fuck, it's like you go on vacation for 2 weeks. You're like, what the fuck is all this paperwork on my desk? There's going to, there's going to be that.
You assume that the Trump administration kept records.
No, I didn't say it was records. It's just, they're probably McDonald's records. I don't know. There's going to be a mess they're going to have to sort through. But
and I think that they have good enough relationships that some of those people will actually come back.
Yeah. And there are still senior level people who stuck it out. And a lot of people try to stick it out and they couldn't, and they had to walk away. But there's a lot of people who are still there. Your Dr. Fauci's.
Poor Dr. Fauci.
Poor Dr. Fauci. Oh, that poor. But you know what? He must feel so fucking vindicated right now. But that will come back and try to undo some shit. But like there's a lot of categories.
I just wonder like how much they're gonna actually be able to progress with all of the shit that they have to clean up.
Yeah. Well, and that's the problem. There is, before you can add anything onto the house, you got to fix it up first. Like there's been a fire, and you have to clean up, assess the damage, fix what needs to be fixed, save what you can, and then build it back. Yeah, and then you can figure out about the better part. Yeah. It's and that's going to take a lot of work. And I mean, hopefully there's a level to which he can figure out how to do.
Hopefully there's the political will in Washington to do that.
And I think hopefully part of the problem, and I think this was the political culture has changed since the Obama administration, and then I think there was a level to which, I mean, the media itself. I said this the other day. The media. Trump broke the media. They have no more fucks to give as far as calling out bullshit. And so
Anderson Cooper called him an obese turtle on his back.
I know there was. I shared a video. There was one guy from News 12, New Jersey, who like some Trumper came up and was like, "Are you the real news or are you the fake news?" And he was just like, "Fuck off." He just told the guy, "Fuck off," and turned back and started talking to the camera again. So, I mean, I think that there's a level to which the conversation, trying to be like above board and acting like the Republicans in Congress were not just being obstinate obstructionists and doing shit to just undermine and fuck things up because they didn't want Obama to have success. If they try that shit again, I think there's a level to which they're going to get called the fuck out. Everybody's going to scream and mobilize and fight them.
I think it'll be the end of the Republican Party.
If they keep trying this shit, yeah. I think, I mean, there's a level to which, like, there's always going to be, and there always has been, that political ideology of no, hold, don't do more, stand back, we can't progress, that's not okay. And over time, they always fucking lose. And it's just a matter of how long it's going to take for them to wind up either losing their power or giving in, realizing if they don't, they're going to lose their power.
Right.
And I don't know. I mean, you know, there are still a couple Senate seats that are open. Georgia, there are runoffs because, you know, it was a crowded field in one election. Right. Oddly enough, they had a special election, so there were actually both the senators seats were up, which is very rare. But, you know, so right now, like, it's like...
But even if they win both of those, then it's a tie.
Yeah.
And then Kamala just can't do anything except sit her ass in
she's gonna
the Senate.
Like, all right, we're going to take you out of the Senate, and you're going to go be the vice president, and you're the vice president. Walk your ass back into the Senate. And, you know, and I'm sure that if that happens, and they'll be like, oh, they're just ramming everything through with whine and cry. Look at them being so terrible to us. But you know what? If you can
ram through a Supreme Court justice in 30 days.
Yeah, if, you know, there are a lot of reforms that in the first 100 days, he's like, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this. And Chuck Schumer's like, there's a lot that we can do. He has a whole, like, list of stuff, but he's like, I need control of the Senate. If we have control of the Senate, we can do all these things, and we will do all these things.
The thing that worries me, though, is that Biden's doing a lot of this. In the first 100 days, I'm going to do this. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of people on both sides. There's a lot of super progressives that were like Bernie bros and stuff like that. And there's a lot of Republicans that are keeping score.
Yeah.
And they're all going to go, well, he didn't get that done in the first 100 days. He said he was going to get that done in the first 100 days, and he didn't get that done. And he didn't get that done.
Or he did too much.
Right. I think the problem that he's going to have is, like, and I don't know how to explain this to anybody anymore. The president isn't the king. Like, yes.
Trump still didn't get that. He's like, oh, no, I'm not going to leave.
The president can do a lot, but the president needs the legislature.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a reason that they came first in the Constitution, and then the president was in Article 2.
And you also have to deal with the fact that you have a Supreme Court. Like, you can do a lot of stuff, and if it gets challenged, you do not have a friendly Supreme Court anymore for right now. Yeah. I truly believe that they're going to try to expand the court. I don't know how successful that they're going to be, because I really think that people are going to kick and scream no fair, because...
Well, you know, and here's the thing. Like, people, they act like changing the Supreme Court is some wild, crazy idea. The Supreme Court's been expanded and contracted a number of times. We just haven't done it in so long that people think, like, no, this is the number. You have to have 9. No, you don't. You don't. And there's been times when there's been 10. And, you know.
Which is stupid, because, like, how do you have a tiebreaker then?
You don't.
But you should.
You don't. And
then nothing gets decided, though.
Well, and either, like, things just, they wind up, things get bounced back down to the lower courts, or they have to talk to each other and compromise and come to a consensus.
But that's Supreme Court. You don't want judges compromising. You want them to be ruling on the precedent and stuff like that.
Yeah,
you don't want the Supreme Court to be deal making like
the
legislature is.
There's a level to which, like, you know, there are, and again, you know, I know I sound biased, but the conservatives on the court will say, here's what we believe in, until it's inconvenient for them to make a ruling based on what they've said their standards are, and then they'll just completely change their mind. And they're yes, there needs to be precedent, there needs to be standards, but they don't always hold to that. So, but the point that I'm making is like, there's this fear of, well, if you expand the court, if you lose control of Congress, what's this in the White House? What's to stop them from doing the same thing? Nothing. But if you make it so that people can easily vote, you expand the court, you make things more equal, you put in a bunch of reforms, and then at some point down the road you lose power, the other side can do the same thing. You get rid of the filibuster, you make them actually do their jobs. At some point you're probably going to lose control of the White House and Congress again. And then they'll have the chance to put forward their proposals. But if at that point people are allowed to vote and can see and make a decision based on what people do and don't do rather than nothing ever getting done, then people will be elected on the merit of what they've actually accomplished. And you can... and
Idealist.
Yeah, well...
No, they won't. They'll be elected on the color of their skin and what's in their pants.
They don't always elect people based on what's in their pants. Trust me. But we'll cut that out. But it sounds a little idealistic, but right now the system is so rigged to be completely inoperable.
It's broken.
That you have to expand democracy, and right now that's why these Senate seats are so important. They're going to have runoffs in Georgia. If the Democrats, tie up the Senate and have Kamala Harris there to go, this, that, yes, no, then they can get some shit done and get some shit done quickly. And the platform and the legislation that they would like to put forward, it's basically like the New Deal. It's like FDR coming in after Hoover going like, we need to fix shit, we need to get shit done, we need this, and that. Later on, he lost control of Congress, and they've repealed some shit. But there's still a lot that we still have from the New Deal. And just like...
And there were a lot fewer people hurting...
Yes.
...while it was in place.
Yes. And it's just like with the Affordable Care Act, people screamed and cried about it. But then once you give something to the American people and they see the benefit of the thing that you just gave them,
then you try to take it away.
You try to take it away, and they're like, no, I have a thing. I didn't want that, but now I have. It's like with our daughter. Like, she's like, oh, I don't want that, and you're like, okay, well, it's mine. And she's like, no, that's mine. No, give me. It's a similar thing. People act like children, and when you give them something,
and then try to take it
away.
No,
they cry. But then they cry and then they vote you out. So
I mean, I'm hoping that there will be improvements to the Affordable Care Act. That's one of the things that I'm hoping for.
Yes,
because it is still very expensive, and there are still a lot of people, especially with the way the economy is working, that are not able to afford health care, and there are a lot of young people who are not able to afford health care, and things are going untreated, and they're going to be very sick older people.
Yeah.
So I hope that is something that gets expanded. I don't know how much political will there is to do that, but I hope that that's something that gets expanded. But we really need that Senate.
I think
maybe Perdue will agree to another debate before the runoff.
Maybe
he get like super shellacked.
I mean, the one thing I will say
was pitiful.
Yeah, it was.
I mean,
there were a lot.
That was pitiful.
There were a couple debates from a couple different people who got reelected. I'm like, how? Based on what the fuck you just did? Like, you were like, no, that's sad. I would be embarrassed to show my face.
It just shows that the people who were voting weren't paying attention to them.
Well, yeah.
The people, on the national level, people were.
No.
And I'll be very honest with you. I don't even know, were there Senate debates in New Jersey?
Good point.
I wasn't watching them.
That's true. I mean, I already knew who I was voting for, so yeah, no.
Yeah.
I mean, and I guess there is that level. But
hopefully if there were any holdouts in Georgia who decided that they didn't want to vote because they didn't want to vote for, they didn't want to make a choice, or they didn't like the choices that they had. Hopefully they'll go out for the runoffs. And
I mean, Stacey Abrams and her team of people have a lot of work to do to get people to come out again. I will say,
it's not just Stacey Abrams. There's been a lot of people organizing down there, but I think Stacey Abrams is the one that showed that there was a
will to do it,
a possibility that the door was open.
I will say this though, if you are a young person and you are politically inclined, if you're going to be turning 18 before January 5th, go ahead and register. You can vote in the runoff. There's nothing that says you can't vote in the runoff because you weren't 18 when they had the initial election. Go ahead.
Yes, do that.
So,
take your friends.
Yeah, take your friends. Get going. But yeah, and hopefully, I feel sorry for the people in Georgia, because there is going to be, the rest of us can now have a break and a breather
Breathe
from
a little bit.
Political ads. Not so much down there. Sorry, guys. You're gonna have to enjoy those through Christmas. Happy holidays. Here's an ad. But yeah, there's gonna be so much money getting poured into Georgia.
Oh yeah.
Over the next month and a half. And we'll see what happens. But I just hope that we can find a way to figure out how to stop quibbling over whether or not we should do anything at all and start negotiating on how to actually do some stuff, because it's stupid. It really serves nothing other than to maintain people's positioning, to go back and do nothing. I don't understand why people in Congress are so just inclined to be there if they really have no interest in actually doing anything. I don't get it.
Money.
Yeah, but
power.
Yeah, but they don't really have power. Like that's the thing.
But they do. But they do. If they didn't have power, you wouldn't be saying, God, why do these people get elected?
Yeah.
They do have power. They have the power to make other people miserable.
Yeah.
Or not.
I don't.
Or not.
Yeah. And that's the thing, I don't get. It makes no sense. But it almost seems at this point like there's a level to which they don't even know why they're doing what they're doing anymore. They're just going through the motions because this is what we do. Like
they have no other skills.
Yeah, it's almost like they're just going by rote.
What would Lindsey Graham do if he didn't have this job?
Drop dead, God willing. I don't know.
That's not nice.
I told you I'm inclined to be petty sometimes, but
no, I mean,
I don't know.
There are people who have been in Congress so long that they literally have no careers.
Yeah.
If they, aren't in Congress.
I don't know.
And all they can do is leave Congress and become a lobbyist and work in Congress again.
Or go be a pundit. Like, there's more money outside.
Claire McCaskill. God, I love her.
Claire McCaskill always frustrated me when she was in Congress because she was a very middle of the road.
That's because she was trying to get shit done.
I know.
But now.
But
now.
There's a lot of there's a good career in being a talking head screaming into a microphone.
On all sides.
Yeah.
Any side.
You get to write books and shit. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Seems like everybody that gets out of Congress, and then I see them on TV, they seem so relaxed and chill and just like,
not everybody.
They don't seem as wound up as when they were in Congress.
Have you watched Newt Gingrich talk lately? He's been out talking about voter fraud for Trump lately. He looks a little unhinged.
Well, Newt Gingrich is a walking turd. It's just, I don't know.
Anywho,
I don't know. I don't know what his.
We should wrap this up.
Yeah.
But
it's just walking turd. The end. Just cut. Don't say anything else. And say goodbye. That's the end.
Newt Gingrich is a walking turd. We have spoken.
Thank you for listening to the podcast. And what the hell? But yeah.
So, I mean, Georgia's got some work to do.
Yeah.
We all have some work to do to kind of heal and,
Yeah.
and, and breathe again for a little bit, I feel like I can put down some of my alcohol.
Yeah. Wow.
I don't but I think we should all just, relax a little bit.
Yeah. You can breathe a sigh of relief, take a victory lap, dance in the streets a little bit, but
it's still going to be bumpy for the next 70 something days.
Yeah, I mean it's going to be bumpy afterwards. We have to just still stay engaged, it just hopefully won't be as harrowing of a
yeah, but
endeavor.
I'm talking about before they get him out of the White House.
Oh no, I know.
He's crazy.
I know. Once they drag his ass out, then we can breathe a little more. But
gonna have to get a crane.
Damn. I was being nice. I was going to say drag his fat ass out, but I was trying to not fat shame. I mean, I try not to do that. Sometimes I make exceptions. He's one, but
I don't feel bad.
Yeah, well,
I'm fat too, people.
Yeah, we're both fat.
At any rate,
I'm sorry. I just called you fat, and I should have done that. I apologize. I'm gonna cut that out.
It's all right.
I'm sorry.
Gonna have to take his tanning bed out, or his spray tan booth, whatever.
I don't even know what it is anymore. But I mean, so
all his wig stands.
That's the thing. It's his hair, but he's just like,
get some conditioner for fuck's sake.
Yeah, it's some expertly
looks like my guinea pig.
Yeah, it's like some weird fucking modern art project sitting on his fucking skull. Like I don't know how that was if of all the different ways you could design your hair, why?
His hair's the best. It's bigly fantastic. Anyway. All right.
Anyway, so yeah. So, I mean, stay involved. If you want to help out down in Georgia, send your money. Go out and vote if you're down there. Things like that. Everybody move to Georgia for a month.
No, you can't do that.
Can't do that.
That is actual voter fraud. You can't do that.
But don't do that. But
God.
They need,
seriously though, if the Democrats were going to engage in widespread voter fraud, like all these people are accusing,
take the Senate.
Really?
Take the Senate.
Really? Why would you not?
If we don't take the Senate, then they won't believe we did it. That makes no sense.
No, that makes no sense at all.
No, if they were gonna, but if they were gonna actually engage in voter fraud because they're trying to acquiesce so much and be nice, that they probably would do some dumb shit like that. We're going to take the presidency, but we're going to make sure we have no power. Really? All right. But
well, we don't want to hurt their feelings.
Yeah. Oh.
Democrats are like Canadians to a lesser extent. They're so nice, and we don't want to hurt their feelings.
Don't insult the Canadians.
No, the Canadians are really nice.
Yeah, well, I know, but don't insult them by comparing them to idiocy.
I said to the lesser extent. To a lesser extent.
Oh, they're to a lesser extent. Okay. Gotcha.
You have to listen sometimes.
Oh, you panicked me. You were insulting the Canadians, and we have listeners up there, so I don't know.
I love Canadians.
We need that sweet ad revenue.
I love Canadians.
Yes.
But they're so nice.
They are
That's
nice.
what I'm saying.
They are nice.
And that's what I'm saying. The Democrats are very giving.
You know what? They're not all nice. Some of them are assholes, but they hide them. They hide them fairly well.
Well, we need to talk to Justin Trudeau about how they hide their assholes.
Yeah.
We have so many.
They have assholes up there, but it's it's like when you have a squabble at home, but then you go out somewhere and then everybody acts really nice and oh, everything's fine. And you go home and you fight it. It's like that. It's like that. They have internal squabbles and they'll call each other assholes.
But they don't they don't let the rest of the world.
Yeah, no.
See,
no,
their internal squabbles.
Yeah, no, they put their church faces on. Hi, everything's fine here. Yeah.
But see, that requires everybody to participate.
True.
In doing that.
True. if you're Canadian and you have any tips on how to completely change our social dynamics so that we can fake it, that we're awesome, please let us know.
Yeah, right. And send more of those coffee crisps.
Yes, yeah. You, that one person. You know who you are. Anyway.
Any Canadian listener can send me coffee crisps. I'm down with it.
I have to look and make sure that we have a... Do we have a mailing address on the... I think we have a mailing address on the...
I'll add one.
Yeah.
We'll put it in the comments, in the show notes. Yeah. Send your coffee crisps too. Okay, this has devolved into utter madness now.
That's how we do. That's how we do.
You know why? Because we're punchy about the good stuff.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Well, I got tons, but not today.
Yeah, save it up.
I'm gonna
future content. Next time we have another episode already recorded, and barring something crazy happening, we're actually gonna put that one out next time. We recorded like a month ago.
Yeah. Well, we created a backlog because, like, with the holidays coming up and my life just being totally insane.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. My life is insane because I'm working.
Yeah.
For the holidays, got lots of work to do. I'm sure that Shannon will have ample time to do coffee breaks and such to keep you entertained.
Damn it. I'll give you this. You don't waste an opportunity.
I do not. I do not. I'm over here
I know.
You know.
Judgy.
I'm not judging. We're way past that.
I know. We'll figure it out.
Anywho.
Anyway, yes.
So we pre-recorded some stuff so that we would have stuff to put out over the holidays when things might be a little crazier.
Yeah. So
and we're probably going to do some more of that pre-recording because I have some vacation time coming up that I am taking before all the madness begins at work.
I think actually in the beginning of the episode we said, like, we're recording this. It might not come out right away. So
but that one, hopefully, barring any catastrophes, will come out and it will be a fun episode.
Yeah.
I'm going to try and do some fun stuff. I'm going to try and take a slight break from everything political.
Yeah. It's a touch.
We might have to start talking about some, like, transgender stuff again soon. Like,
yeah.
Sarah McBride.
Oh!
We almost forgot.
Damn, I'm a bad queer. Yeah, there were so many LGBT people who won.
You know what? We'll have to probably put out like a supplemental to this.
Yeah, maybe a coffee break.
Maybe a coffee break.
Yeah. All right.
But yeah, so a lot of other good stuff happened besides Joe and Kamala.
Maybe I'll put a link in the show notes.
All right, we have to stop this.
Yeah.
All right. So, thank you for listening. I am Rachel.
And I am Shannon.
We'll talk to you again soon.
Bye.
Thank you again for listening to Our Life in Transition.
This show is hosted by Rachel and Shannon McDill.
Our producer and editor is Shannon McDill.
Our theme music is Seize the Day by Jens Kiilstofte.
Support us on Patreon at patreon.com/olitpod. That's /OLITPOD.
Your support makes this show possible. Thank you.